Greetings all, Last Outrider here. How are you? Here with another rare political insight video. Only because people keep asking me a question and I figure once again I should make a video on my thoughts before anything happens. And this is about the fake US government shutdown. Yes, I say fake, because it has nothing to do with a budget. It has nothing to do with health care. It has nothing to do with any of those things. It has to do with one thing, specifically trying to make Trump be accountable for his own politics. So let's look at it this way. How can I say this? The Democrats did not cave, did not give up, did not surrender in the Senate. They just did what you would call tactical with retreat, political repositioning. Why? Because the Senate already passed a budget, aka continuing resolution. Democrats compromised that so-called cave or surrender, but there's a trick. Once the Senate acted, once they passed the budget, it doesn't reopen the government. It now shifts the burden to the House of Representatives, where it needs to be passed again. And even after the House of Representatives passes it, it doesn't reopen the government. It then goes to Trump's desk, where he has to sign it into law. Now, as far as I'm aware, Trump has never vetoed a bill in either of his terms as president. He has insisted that the Senate and the House only pass laws that he supports, so that he doesn't have to veto it. He kept on saying, it's your job to pass something that I like. And I think this whole shutdown is a scheme to finally get Trump to be responsible for his own politics, specifically to either A, put the entire government shutdown as his singular responsibility, or B, take away health care from Americans as singularly his choice. You see what I mean? How? So the Democrats are in a much better position now than they were before. Why? In the Senate, they were in a no vote situation. All of the Democrats were voting no, and that stopped the budget from passing. In the House of Representatives, this has flipped. Even though they say they're in a no position and that they won't support this, in the end, they will again. It's just theater. And I'll tell you why. Because, again, the goal is to get this bill on Trump's desk, to create a situation where Trump alone is responsible for either a shutdown or for getting rid of health care. That's the end goal here. And they will either do that with this budget or they will do that with a second shutdown at the end of January. So let's look what we've done so far. This budget has several gifts in it to the Democrat. Even though they say it's a cave, it's a surrender, they actually negotiated 4 very important things from the Republicans. One, they got all of the federal workers that Trump fired rehired and protected from further firings during a shutdown. That's not a small thing. That was one of Trump's biggest weapons. I will fire every Democrat I don't like from the government during this shutdown. They removed that. 2, SNAP benefits, food stamps. You may have heard those terms a lot. Not only this is not funded just until the end of January. This is funded until the end of 2026. Not only is it funded, it's expanded. They raised benefits and increased membership to include all veterans and disabilities and things like this have been added to it. So SNAP, food stamps program, has actually grown under this, not shrunk, and is funded until the end of the year. In addition, air traffic controllers, well, you hear about them a lot, are now also will be funded until the end of the year. U.S. military, not the entire military, but military engineering programs. That means construction projects and things like this that the U.S. military has been working on are now also funded until the end of the year. Okay? This is so basically what they're setting up is that if a second shutdown happens at the end of January, then all of the hardships of having a shutdown are now solved. SNAP won't be affected, air traffic controllers won't be affected, military projects won't be affected. They're funded till the end of 2026. They could shut this down for a year. And not worry about these things again. In addition, they will be past the holiday season. So we're at the end of January. So now we're not destroying anybody's Christmas or holidays or New Year or anything like that either. We're past the holiday season. So they're setting it up that when the second shutdown happens, none of the things that the Republicans have been saying the Democrats are doing will be doing anymore. In addition, Trump has stated that he will not negotiate with Democrats as an extortion for reopening the government. So what does this 75-day window do? That means that the government reopens. The Democrats now turn toward Trump and say, let's negotiate health care. Now, if he refuses to negotiate on health care or come up with a compromise or some other plan in that 75 days, then when the next government shutdown happens, he loses that excuse too. They're going to sit there and say, what do you mean? We reopened the government and he refused to negotiate. Now when we shut it down again, and he's going to say again, oh, I refuse to negotiate on it's extortion. Well, it's not, because he refused to negotiate when it was open during the 75 days. So can you see? This is not a cave. This is not a surrender. This is a tactical repositioning. They fully expect another shutdown to come. They're just designing it. It will be a custom designed shutdown at the end of January, if that happens. That is not a cave. That is a tactical retreat. It's obvious. But it gets even better. Because, as I said, this is about making Trump accountable for his own politics, because all the Republicans are just doing what he tells them to do. They take the punishment for it, their human shields being sacrificed for his policies. And the goal is to get the bill on his desk so he will be the only one responsible. So the Senate was the first wall protecting him with the no vote. Now, the second wall is going to be the House of Representatives. Has fundamentally changed. Now, even though the Dems say they won't support it, it's a yes vote. Speaker Johnson is terrified of success, not failure. Why? Because when the budget passes the House, that doesn't reopen the government. That doesn't make it law. That means it becomes a bill that has to be signed by Trump. During the shutdown, the government has not reopened yet. And if that has a compromise in it again, which it will, to get them to pass it, then if Trump wants to say he won't negotiate during a shutdown, that's fine. But then that will be singularly on him alone with his veto of the bill. Because right now it's going to have to be all of the representatives in the House who are going to have to take the hit for him to protect, no future health care or anything like that. So the Dems will again say, oh, we are not going to vote for it, but they will. Because they know this is the real goal that they're going for. And we already have some people like Marjorie Taylor Greene, who we know she's going to vote with the Democrats on this issue to give health care. So they're already down by one right there. So how long can the Democrats pretend that they don't know that this is not their real goal, that their real goal is not to just get through the holiday season and create a new, better shutdown at the end of January, or to get this bill on Trump's desk so that he can be singularly responsible for the shutdown? I don't know. I'm sure they have a clever plan to try to deceive everybody into looking how hard they tried to resist this. But it's going to pass because it's 100% helps them. So in the Senate, all of the negotiation occurred because Democrats kept voting no. And the Republicans needed a yes vote, a success, to get it to pass. But in the House, the situation is reversed. Now, Speaker Johnson and Trump is terrified of a success vote. But that means you have to get all of your negotiating done before the vote, right? Because failed votes you can just keep on having over and over and over again. But if this bill passes just once in the House, then it goes straight to Trump for a signature. You don't renegotiate a successful vote. You see what I'm saying? And like I said, what happens when you get a successful vote? Trump will end up with this government shutdown on his desk. Will he sign the bill to reopen the government and cave and negotiate with the Democrats during a shutdown? Also, expanding SNAP benefits, which he said he didn't want to do. Also, funding all of these agencies till the end of the year. Also, rehiring all of the federal employees that he fired. And also getting past the holiday season. You will not be able to call this a Democratic shutdown anymore, obviously, because it's his signature that it's waiting for. He will either sign it or he will veto it. That has nothing to do with Democrats or even Republicans at that point. Do you see what I'm saying? That is the golden situation that the Democrats would love to see. That's what would make this indefensible on all the news media. And another thing you should know about American politics is that if the Republicans in the House change this budget in any way, if they pass it, but they change it in some way, okay? Like I heard some Republicans saying, well, I'm only going to vote for this and the additional health care if they make sure that birth control and abortion is not covered by public health insurance at all anymore. You understand what I mean? That would be a change. If they make any type of change like this to the bill, then even if they pass it, you go back to square one. It doesn't go to Trump. It goes back to the Senate, where it needs to be passed again, which would mean they need to get those same 8 senators. Not only did they have to throw themselves on the sword the first time to get it passed, they would have to throw themselves on the sword a second time to get it passed the second time, which again is good for the Democrats because now they're going to say, look, it was the Republicans that changed the bill. We didn't change it. They changed it. This is all infighting in the Republican Party. It has nothing to do with the Democrats, us Democrats, at all. They're fighting among themselves. How can they possibly say we shut down the government when they changed the budget to send it back to the Senate where it needs to be voted on again after they already got the compromise? Now they want a second compromise. You see what I'm saying? So if that happens, the Democrats can simply say, well, no, I compromised once. I'm not going to fucking do it twice. This is your fault, okay? Your fault. You changed it in the House. I'm not going to do this twice. So now they can again say, it's not us. We did our job. We passed it. And now you didn't like our compromise and you want us to compromise a second time. We are not going to do that. This is your fault. So again, it's a tactical retreat and repositioning. It's not a surrender. They're trying to make this look 100% like it's a Republican and even better, Trump shutdown. So either the budget gets changed and it gets sent back to the Senate and you're back at square one where you need to get the Senate vote, or B, it passes and it goes to Trump and Trump can choose to veto it, keeping the government shut down and not accepting it, in which case it's 100% his responsibility. Either way, the Democrats are removing all of their liability. And the third one, least likely situation, is Trump signs the continuing resolution budget, which gives 75 days until this happens again. And at that point, the Republicans will have nothing to negotiate with at all. Right? Because this means they didn't negotiate during the 75 days. So how can they say that he's being exploited or that he looks weak? Because they didn't do anything during the 75 days. So why would you believe it a second time? So this is all just public fucking theater. And I don't believe I'm the only one on the planet that sees this. So they must all know this. All these political experts on every news station around the world, nobody is pointing this out. It's like the emperor has no clothes. That's what this is like. Everybody knows this is happening. Everybody's going to pretend it's not. And that's why I felt the need to make this video. It's a joke. It's not about healthcare. It's not about government. It's not about money. It's not about budget. It's not about any of those things. It's about one thing: making Trump or the Senate Republicans responsible for this. That is it. Now, I hope that explains it. If not, ask me some questions below. And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.